track is kind of weird. Kind of swampy area right here.
Broad-breasted?
Yeah.
I'll tell you, these guys are not too smart when they're chicks. They're...
But they're one of my favorite animals on the farm.
Oh,
they're
really?
just so jovial. I mean, they're dumb.
Yeah.
But they are jovial. They're the happiest thing to move in the morning when you move them. You know, there's nothing
excited
happier than
and talking and...
Yeah, they coo and chirp and...
Do you move them daily?
No. Excuse me. We move them about every 3 days. Okay, so turkeys, broad-breasted white. They spend 4 weeks in the brooder. When they're 4 weeks old, they're too small for netting like this. So what we do when they come out of the brooder at 4 weeks old is we put them in broiler shelters for 4 weeks. So 4 weeks in the brooder, 4 weeks in broiler shelters, then they get too big for the broiler shelter. Then they come out here. So when they're 8 weeks old, they come out into electrified netting. We move them every 3 days.
Okay.
To move them, which you all know how to do, we set up another set of nets like that, come out with the tractor, hook up to the unit, and pull that whole unit through. That thing we call the gobble-de-go. That box holds feed, and the unit has a shade cloth so they have some comfort, and roosting structures. Turkeys must get up off the ground at night, or they'll develop a blister on their breast. So that's why we have plenty of roosting structures.
They can all fit up on that thing?
Most of them will fit. They'll cover up every space. Like they'll roost on the tongue of the
trailer and everything, yeah.
Cart and everything, yeah. This movement gets them off of their poop and onto clean, fresh grass regularly, and is distributing their fertility across the land. They're ready for butcher O at 17, 18 weeks, typically. Any other specific questions about turkeys?
Yeah. You guys grow most of the year? These aren't specifically for Thanksgiving?
Mostly specifically. I mean, we're only mostly for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to be frozen well before Thanksgiving, but that's when we sell most of our turkeys.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey guys.
Do you guys have any problems with like predators even with your lack of netting?
Typically not with turkeys. Okay. All right, so these are broiler shelters, but they have turkeys in them. So again, turkeys 4 weeks in the brooder, 4 weeks in shelters. Then they go out into the electrified netting. But I'm going to switch gears and talk about broilers here instead of going to see the broilers. You all know what a broiler looks like. Just big, ugly white chickens. And this is the same management. So I'm going to shift gears and talk about broilers here, even though we're looking at turkeys. So broilers, we use the same breed that the conventional industry uses, the Cornish cross hybrid. Is that what y'all use? Yeah. So they go from baby chicks on your plate, you know, in about 8 weeks. We usually butcher at week 7, 8, 9. Last year we butchered some at 6. We didn't do anything different. They just got fatter faster, so we butchered them at 6. But typically we're butchering at week 7, 8, and 9. Our broilers spend 3 weeks in the brooder. Then they come out into the broiler shelter. You probably already know this, but why keep them in a shelter? We keep them in a shelter because broilers grow so big so fast. They need protection from weather and predators at all times. So 3/4 of the roof are metal, providing shade from the heat and protection from rain. 1/4 of the roof is mesh, so they can sunbathe if they want. And obviously they're getting plenty of fresh air, sunshine, bugs, and kept relatively safe from predators in here. So that's why a shelter instead of not a shelter. So what we like people to understand about our farming can be summed up by 3 M's. This farming is mobile, modular, management intensive. And this applies to all of our enterprises, but I like to talk about it here because it's real clear what I'm talking about. So the mobility of what we do is more like the portability of our infrastructure. 90% of our buildings, including things like this, can be driven down the road. Either because they're on wheels like the Eggmobile, or because we can load it on a trailer and drive it down the road. This is important because do you know what the average age of the American farmer is?
Is that 89 or something? 88 or
Oh, it's
something?
in the 60s.
Oh,
It's
in
not
the
that old.
I thought it was 80.
It's in the 60s, which is still weird and old for the average age of an industry.
Okay.
And you know, that's usually when people are heading towards retirement, not the average age of your workforce. And the reason older farmers can't get out is because younger farmers can't get in. And one of the biggest things keeping people from getting into farming is the cost of land. So what we like to do here is teach people to start farming by renting land. But do you want to put permanent infrastructure like a poultry house on rented land?
No.
No. Because it's probably your dream to buy your own land someday if possible. Or your landlord could always say, hey, you got to go, I got to sell the farm. You got to get off. So it's a real bummer if you put permanent infrastructure on there and you want to move. So these, on the other hand, can be loaded on a trailer and driven down the road. Just the racket from inside. It's just...
Yeah.
It's really funny too when there's somebody pecking at a hole and they come and take. I don't think anybody's there right now. I don't know. I find it really entertaining when they
Come and take it.
come pull grass through. I know it's silly, but anyway. Okay. So these can be loaded on a trailer and driven down the road, helping you to be mobile if you know,
Need to. Yeah.
want to move. Yeah. Okay, so mobile, modular. Modular means start small, scale out. An industrial poultry house is not modular. For example, that's a gigantic all-in, most likely debt investment of about $1 million just to build a poultry house. Farmers have a hard time ever getting out from underneath that debt because 1, that's a huge debt to overcome selling cheap chicken. 2, you're constantly having to upgrade and update those houses, which is very expensive. 3, you hear those horror stories about people who build a poultry house and have a contract with some kind of poultry company, and then the company just revokes your contract for no reason because something happens and they don't want to grow chicken there anymore. So you're left with this big poultry house and no poultry. So these, on the other hand, probably cost about $500 to build. Start with 1, fill it with chickens. This holds 75 broilers. Sell your chicken. Now you have enough money to build a second shelter. So this is a way to start a business small and scale it up as you have the means, as you have the desire, as you build your workforce, as you build your market, etc., with little or no debt.
Yeah.
Mobile modular.
Go on.
Yeah, there's one there. Mobile modular. I must just not want that. Management intensive. Management intensive is the movement of the animals across the landscape. So cows move every day, Eggmobile moves every day or every other day, turkeys move every 3 days, pigs every 7 to 10 days. In the case of the broiler shelter, we move every single shelter forward 1 full spot every single morning. Do y'all have a dolly like this?
No, we actually put wheels on them.
Okay.
On ours, because we have straight line winds where we're at, and I've seen them literally get pulled up, so I built it with 2x4s instead of Joel doing it with the 1x. And it gives a little more weight to them because like she said, we're on flat land and the wind just comes it'll pick them right up.
Yeah, we get stiff winds here.
So I built them a little more heavy and then just put little wheels on them, and then I have like a thing on the front and I just pull them forward.
Okay, if you want to come back here, I'll show you this. So this is a custom-made dolly that we make here on site. That just goes up underneath the back of the shelter to get it off the ground by 1 inch or 2. Next, if I was going to move them, I would take the feeder out. Feeder's right there. I would just pick it up, take it out, carry it forward, and set it down here, because when I'm done moving the shelter, the door is going to be down here.
Yep.
Then I literally come here and move this 1 full spot forward, which I can do by myself because of those wheels back there. Without that, I can't make this budge an inch. by myself. Then, once I move it a complete spot, then I come back here, take the dolly out, take it to the next shelter and move it one full spot forward, so on and so forth until I've moved them all one full spot forward. Then,
I guess about 20 minutes to move all these ones right here.
yeah, the benchmark is 3 minutes to move, feed, and water one shelter. So 3 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times 3 is 27 minutes. Then I would fill up their water bucket. Water's just kept in that tub right there. You just fill up 2 5-gallon buckets from there. Tote those to every shelter, filling up these buckets. Then water drains by gravity down the black tube into the red bell drinker inside. Then fill up their feeder, put the feeder back in. Feed is just kept in there. So the diagonal arrangement is so that no shelter overlaps any other shelter. They are not touching their poop, but also we're covering every square foot of the pasture with valuable nitrogen-rich poultry manure. Also, you're using all your lateral space this way. So if you put them side by side, you'd have to put a gap between them in order to service the shelter. So you would not be using all your lateral space, and you're not getting fertility on.
Yeah.
You'll have racing stripes. But,
Yeah.
yeah. So the goal of this movement is to keep pathogenicity low. Poultry houses are pathogen-rich environments. They're breathing a steady flow of fecal particulate matter their entire lives. So here, we're management intensive, but we're not pharmaceutical intensive. We don't medicate, vaccinate, deworm our animals. Management intensive, but not commercial fertilizer intensive. All these animals have fertility coming right out of their butts. So as we move them, we move the fertility. Management intensive, but not chemical pesticide, herbicide, fungicide. For one thing, this movement helps prevent the buildup of manure, which is one of the things that's causing problems in the first place. So management intensive is a trade-off for a lot of this other stuff.
Yeah.
Any more specific questions on this?